Percy Jackson and the Olympians is a middle-grade fantasy series by Rick Riordan that reads fast, stays funny under pressure, and gradually grows in emotional weight. The experience is mystery plus adventure with clear chapters, quick cliffhangers, and a modern world where ancient mythology is treated as background reality. It is set in present-day America with a wide travel scope and a consistent, easy-to-follow voice. If you are new, the simplest rule is to read the 5 original novels in order. This is the Percy-first ladder. It is the safest path for clarity, pacing, and tone. It also matches how the author expects you to learn the world. The 5 books are The Lightning Thief, The Sea of Monsters, The Titan's Curse, The Battle of the Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian. This video focuses on that ladder on purpose. It is the part Amazon will reliably sell for years. It is the complete starting story, and it is what new readers actually need. Expanded universe material exists, but it works best after you finish the original 5. Think of the 5 books as one smooth staircase. Book 1 is the easiest entry. Book 2 confirms the formula. Book 3 deepens the themes. Book 4 widens the scope. Book 5 delivers the closure. Reading in this order keeps the experience simple, especially if you are reading in short sessions or switching between print and audio. Another helpful fact is that Riordan built the series to be welcoming to readers who did not grow up with mythology classes. The references are a bonus, not a barrier. You can start with zero background and still feel oriented, as long as you start at book 1 and climb the ladder one step at a time. The reading order is straightforward, but it helps to know why it matters. This is a series that teaches you its rules as it goes. Each book adds a layer of vocabulary, tone, and world logic, and those layers are referenced later. Reading out of order can make later books feel noisy, not because they are complicated, but because the story assumes you already recognize the building blocks. The Percy-first ladder is also the best choice for most readers because it matches how the difficulty rises. The early books are extremely readable, and the later books feel more continuous. That shift is part of the design. If you start too late, you miss the gentle on-ramp. If you start with side material, you do not get the clean introduction to how this world works. There is also a practical reason. These books are often purchased as a set, borrowed in sequence, or listened to as a series. Publication order is the path that minimizes friction. You never need to stop and ask where you are. You just go to the next spine on the shelf. This also makes the series friendly for families. You can read one book, stop, and still feel satisfied, because each volume has its own shape. But the long arc becomes more rewarding when the order is respected. In practice, this means you do not need a spreadsheet or a universe chart. You need one clean list, and you need permission to go slowly. The Lightning Thief. Start here, even if you have seen adaptations or heard spoilers from pop culture. This first book is the tutorial that does not feel like a tutorial. It introduces the core idea, the tone, and the pace that the rest of the series keeps refining. It also teaches you what kind of fantasy this is. It is not slow epic lore, and it is not dense high fantasy language. It is clean prose, modern settings, and myth references that land even if you do not know the originals. A good way to read book 1 is to treat it as a test drive. If you enjoy the voice and the momentum here, the rest of the ladder will work for you. If you are unsure, finish this one before buying the full set. That reduces pressure and keeps the decision simple. An interesting fact about the series is that it is often recommended to reluctant readers because it uses short chapters and clear goals. That structure makes it easy to read 10 pages and feel progress. It also makes it easy to stop and restart without losing your place. When people say Percy Jackson is beginner-friendly, they usually mean 2 things. The sentences are direct. The scenes move quickly. You do not have to decode the writing to enjoy the story. That is why book 1 belongs first. It is designed to build confidence. If you care about format, this is a good place to choose your lane. The books work well as audiobooks because the narration style matches the conversational writing. They also work well in print because the chapters are short and easy to pick up between busy days. Most importantly, this first entry sets your expectations for humor. It uses jokes as pacing tools, not as distractions, and that balance is part of why publication order feels so effortless. The Sea of Monsters, read this second. Even if you feel tempted to skip ahead to the books people talk about most, this is the bridge that confirms what the series is, and it smooths the transition from the opening premise into a more confident rhythm. The pacing stays quick, but the story begins to use its mythology framework more boldly, so reading it in order keeps the references feeling natural rather than random. A practical reason to keep this as book 2 is momentum. Many readers finish The Lightning Thief and immediately want more of the same experience. This book delivers that without raising the complexity too fast. It is also where you start noticing the series' signature. It is funny, but it takes its stakes seriously. It is light, but it does real emotional work. If you are reading with a younger reader, this book is a useful checkpoint. If book 1 felt comfortable, book 2 is usually still comfortable. If book 1 felt intense, you can slow down here. The series supports that pace. A small myth note that stays spoiler-free is that sea myths and monster tales are some of the oldest adventure patterns in storytelling. This book taps that tradition in a modern voice, which is why it often feels like a classic quest without feeling old. The Titan's Curse. This is where many readers feel the series level up. That does not mean it becomes difficult. It means the emotional range widens and the story starts asking for a little more attention. Reading it third matters because it assumes you are already comfortable with the tone, the humor, and the basic mythology logic, so it can spend less time explaining and more time moving. One interesting thing about the middle of this series is how it balances accessibility with stakes. The writing stays clear and fast, but the themes begin to feel a little heavier. For new readers, that is a good sign. It means you are getting a series that grows with you instead of staying in one gear. A useful reading habit here is to avoid multitasking too much. Book 3 tends to land best when you give it focused time, even if that is only 15 minutes a day. You will still fly through it, but the emotional beats will feel cleaner if you are not constantly stopping mid-chapter. The Battle of the Labyrinth. Put this forth and plan a little more time for it. The entries are still quick to read, but this one tends to feel denser in movement and scope. It is the kind of book that rewards reading in longer sessions because the atmosphere and direction become clearer when you stay with it. The main reason to not jump into this early is that it uses the series' vocabulary freely. By book 4, the author expects you to recognize concepts and patterns without stopping to define them. If you read the latter in order, that feels smooth. If you skip, you may feel like you missed a memo. For new readers, this is also where you might notice the series' pacing shift. The story can feel more continuous, with fewer soft stopping points. That is normal in a series that is moving toward a finale. If you liked the earlier books, this one usually feels like a satisfying escalation rather than a sudden change. The Last Olympian. This is the capstone of the original Percy Jackson and the Olympians arc, and it should be read fifth after the full ramp-up. The value here is payoff. The series has been layering tone, rules, and emotional stakes, and this finale assumes you have walked that path in order. A useful expectation setting is that finales feel different to read. They tend to be faster, heavier, and more continuous. That is normal. If you reach this book and feel like it pulls you forward, that is the series doing its job. This is also the point where many readers decide whether they want more from the author's universe. Some people stop here and feel complete. Others want the wider world. Both choices are valid. The important part for a new reader is that you get the full original experience first because it gives you the cleanest closure and the strongest foundation. What comes next after the 5 Percy books depends on your goal. If you want the most natural continuation, the next major step is another series by the same author that expands the world and assumes you know the foundations from Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Readers often describe it as a step up in scale, not a replacement. The key is timing. Finishing The Last Olympian gives you the context you need. Starting the wider universe early can make the new material feel like it is speaking a language you have not fully learned yet. Starting after book 5 makes the expansion feel earned and clear. Another calm approach is to decide what you want more of. If you want more of the same voice and momentum, continuing with the author's next series is a good fit. If you want a break, stopping after the original 5 is also a good stopping point. The original ladder is a complete beginner experience. From an Amazon and library perspective, this is also the cleanest funnel. The 5-book set is easy to find, easy to gift, and easy to recommend to new readers. Later series are great, but the most reliable starting purchase is still book 1 of the original ladder. Spin-offs and extra material exist, but they should be approached as rewards, not prerequisites. Some books add background on the mythology, some offer short stories or companion-style content, and some explore other corners of the same author's universe. These can be fun, but they are not the right starting point for a new reader. The reason is simple. Companion material assumes familiarity. It tends to be more reference-like, or it is written to play with ideas that are already established. If you read it first, it can feel like reading the appendix before the main story. A good rule for beginners is to finish the Percy-first ladder, then decide what kind of extra you want. If you want more story, move to the next main series. If you want more context, try companion-style books after you already know the tone and the rules. This keeps the reading experience smooth and keeps your motivation high. Also remember that you do not have to own everything. For extras, borrowing is often the best first step. It lets you sample without turning your reading plan into a collection project. Age and comfort advice matters because this series has a gentle but real progression. The early books are friendly for confident middle-grade readers, and they also work for adults who want something fast and clever. As the series goes on, the situations feel more intense, and the emotional pressure increases, even though the language stays accessible. If you are reading with a child, one calm approach is to treat each book as a checkpoint. Read The Lightning Thief, pause, and see how it felt. Then read The Sea of Monsters, pause again. That way you are never committing to a long arc all at once. For new readers who are nervous about long series, this method also reduces intimidation. You do not have to decide today that you will read 5 books. You decide one book at a time. That is how the ladder is designed. For adult readers returning to reading, these books can work as a momentum builder. The chapters move, the prose is clean, the humor keeps the tone light, even when the stakes rise. If you want a gentle re-entry, Book 1 is a strong low-friction start. Quick recap and final recommendation. Start with The Lightning Thief, then read The Sea of Monsters, The Titan's Curse, The Battle of the Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian. This is the Percy-first ladder, and it is the best choice for new readers because it matches the tone progression and keeps the world rules clear. If you want to make this even easier, buy or borrow in stages. Start with Book 1. If you enjoy it, add Book 2. If you enjoy the first 2, you are safe to keep climbing. This removes pressure and keeps your reading time feeling light. If you finish Book 5 and want more, continue with the author's next major series in the same universe and save companion material for later. That sequence keeps the experience clean and beginner-friendly. If you only remember one thing, remember this: do not start with companion material and do not jump to later series. Start with the 5 Percy books in order and let the universe expand after you finish the original ladder.